RoboCop Rogue City is probably the flag bearer of the current UE5 third-party titles, with outstanding lighting and a keen use of key UE5 features. Settings-wise, we're sticking to the medium preset, with temporal super resolution at 50% resolution scale with a 720p output. The TSR actually does a pretty decent job here at cleaning up the image and keeping it presentable, especially on the internal display. We've compared TSR versus FSR2 in this game in the past, but suffice to say that TSR turns in much better results here. The medium settings are mostly delivering a pretty good experience, but just like on Series S, we are turning off lumen reflections. Changing the reflection method from SSR to lumen costs us about 7 FPS in the alley, which is going to hurt quite a bit in larger scale shootouts, so we'll stick with SSR. Overall, the visual results here mostly look fine, but some scenes display very distracting lumen GI noise patterns. There's just not enough resolution here to get reasonably clean RTGI in a lot of circumstances, and the result is glitchy looking image instability. Some indirectly lit areas look decent, but many do not. Fortunately, these visual concessions do allow us to hit pretty decent performance figures. We're typically north of 30 FPS with these settings, with solid frame rates in area traversal and combat alike. During more intense combat moments, we tend to hover somewhere just above 30 FPS, with more sedate moments bringing a considerable frame rate uplift to the 40s and 50s. There are still issues with higher latency frames, as 50 millisecond frames are sprinkled into the mix every so often, and we still see the same traversal stutter problems in the same areas as the console code. But overall, I'm quite pleased with the performance level we've managed to achieve. Just keep in mind here that the performance figures for a Steam Deck OLED running at 90Hz on the internal display will look slightly different than this, with less time variance between frames. Overall, I think RoboCop presents a slightly mixed but somewhat positive impression of Unreal Engine 5 on Valve's Linux-based handheld. If you ignore some of the Lumen artifacts, this title offers a similar to console visual experience, and the performance, while well short of 60 FPS, is still good enough to give a decent enough 30 FPS ride.